So I was talking to someone at Starbucks, and since I had Gatti, my new Pionis parrot, with me, where are you, Gatti? We were talking about birds and parrots, and the person I met said, well, I would love to have parrots, but my husband won't let me because he says they're too loud. And I said, there are some parrots that aren't very loud. Now, parrots can be loud, that is their nature, but not all voices are created at the same decibel like Gatti's. There are some parrots that aren't as loud. Which ones are they? Hi, I'm Kaylin. Welcome to my channel. I have 21 species of parrots. Gatti is my 21st species. She's the white crowned Pionis. If you're new, please make sure you subscribe and hit the preferences so that YouTube lets you know when the next video is published, which is usually today. Or if you're already subscribed, welcome back. Now I'm going to untangle my bird. All right, now, what parrots aren't as loud? Frankly, this isn't 100% true, but when it comes to size, the bigger, the louder, generally speaking, with parrots. And some parrots can be heard a mile away. So please keep in mind that a lot of parrots are loud. For example, Gatti, she hasn't been super loud with you right now, but you've heard she is a white crowned Pionis, and she can be loud. They're known for not being too loud. She's a baby, and she just took her first shower ever. So she's all wet, and I think she's just kind of like on alert, and so she's being a little louder than usual, because Pionis parrots are usually quiet. But if you want a parrot that's really quiet, generally speaking, the small parrots are going to be great parrots. For example, I have a pair of Parrotlets right here. This is not their cage, disclaimer. This is just so that I could separate two. They're actually in a cage with 5, and they're in my small bird room, and it is louder in there because I have more of them. I would say if you want a pet parrot and you don't want them to be too loud, 2 is a perfect number, and you have to make sure to get the right species because some species are louder than others. For example, in the conure family, which has, by my count, 50 different species of conures, there are some genuses, if I'm saying that correctly, that are quieter and some genuses that are louder. And then there's different size conures, so that makes a difference too. But you really need to research each specific species to find out how loud they are. I wanted you to see though, Pacific Parrotlets are the most common parrotlets here in the US. At this point, because they have been bred so much, they come in incredible colors. I have a blue boy here, blueberry, and a cinnamon, actually. Let's see if we can give you a better view. And my cinnamon is Mr. Harris. And they're examples of 2 beautiful factors because in nature they would be green. Now, or the colored ones aren't going to do as well, they aren't going to survive as well. So I have them here because I want you to see their noise level. Now over there, I'll pan the camera afterwards. You're hearing my green cheek conures. They aren't very loud. Gatti's actually louder. And if my kikes decide to be vociferous, you'll find that they're the loudest. But I want you to get a feel and a sense, and I want you to notice that the 2 Parrotlets are pretty quiet. Why do I recommend 2? Because number 1, they'll still bond with you. There's a myth that they won't. They won't be needy, it's true, if you have 2, because they're not suffering from being in solitary confinement where they're desperate for some love, some affection, some interaction, some attention. When you have 2, those things are taken care of, but I find that they're still curious and they still want to be with me, and I do have to give them the time though. You can't not spend time with your parrots and expect them to bond with you no matter how many you have. You can have 1, you can have like 900. If you don't spend time with them, it's not going to happen. If you have 900, they may not bond with you. That might be too many. But 2 is a really perfect number. When you have 2, like I said, they're not in that solitary confinement. So they have some socialization. They have a mini flock, and you can be a part of that mini flock too. When there's 2 of them, there isn't necessarily any bickering between 3. There might be bickering like a couple, like any friendship might have or any couple might have. And these are actually 2 male parrotlets, but they're buddies. So, you know, there might be some bickering, but generally speaking, you could see, number 1, that they don't take a lot of space, although this is a carrier, don't forget. I feel that while this may meet the minimum requirements of being twice their wingspan, this way and 3 times that way, did that work for you? You know, it's really a small cage. You always want to try to give your parrot a cage that will let them really stretch and flutter their wings or fly. That's ideal. And you can also give them time out of their cage. If you give them time out of their cage, which is really important to do because it lets them engage, it lets them have some mental stimulation, it lets them enjoy their lives, then, you know, depending on how much time you let them out, a smaller cage may not be as bad at that point. You know, it depends on your parrot, it depends on their level of activity. And now I'm getting off topic. So, but I just really want you to know that they don't live in this cage. It's too small for them. But I really wanted you to notice what they're like. They're being a little mellow and chill right now. And it's just not for any reason specifically. They kind of look like they might be getting ready for a nap. They're kind of relaxing. But you can see they're quiet. Mr. Harris is doing the little beak grinding where they just move and grind their beak like that. That was perfect. The air conditioning at the neighbors turned off. And actually Blueberry is too. That means they're content. I think they're getting ready for morning rest. It's a little earlier than I would have expected, but there you go. So you can see that parrotlets, parrotlets, they're not noisy. Please expect a noise level a little higher than this, and I'm going to give you some footage of them in their other cage. But I want you to get a sense that you can hear some of my other birds, and these guys are being pretty darn quiet. So if you have your parrotlets in your home, somewhere where you're giving them exposure to UV and UV light, you're giving them a great diet and fresh water in a clean cage, now that's one of the green cheek conures. So if you're giving them everything so that they have like this happy, healthy life, they've got everything that they need, then they're not necessarily going to really be loud. It's not going to drive you crazy like my Amazons. It's not going to get your neighbors complaining. I don't think you're going to have a problem. I find that the same is going to apply to Cockatiels, Lovebirds, and let's see who else. Usually the Puria, if I'm pronouncing that right, family of conures, which the green cheeks are in, they tend to be the quieter conures. So you just experience the higher noise level of a conure. Generally speaking, if your conure isn't stressed, isn't lonely, and trying to get your attention, the call that Edgar just made, which was sort of like a distress call, and he might have seen a squirrel go by. Earlier they were making that call like, danger, danger, everybody. And it was because there was a squirrel outside. So there might be a squirrel again. But generally speaking, when they have a companion, they're going to be at this noise level. This noise level. Squawk, squawk. And they might be a little louder, but again, if you have two, they're not going to have to cry for your attention. They're not going to have to be stressed out and maybe pluck their own feathers. They're going to be able to be happy together, and if you spend time with them, be thrilled when they're with you. Be curious about you. I find that parrots are always really curious about us humans. So there you have some small birds that I think are great if you don't really want a loud parrot in your home. Don't forget, parrots do make noise, but I'm giving you the parrots that make the least amount of noise and the parrots that I think really aren't going to disturb you. Another one that I really love are the Budgies. They actually kind of make a cute little, sort of like a sing-song little chirp. Parrots, citizens, they are not songbirds. The way, for example, a canary is. Canaries make a beautiful sound. You're going to be like, sing, sing, instead of shh. You're driving me crazy. Canaries, people actually play canary sounds for them to teach them to sing because they want to hear it. In the citizen family, the parrots, it's the opposite. It's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? If you don't research, that's going to be you. If you research and you pick a bird that's not that loud, you're going to be pretty happy. Now, I think I'll have the next video talk about some medium or large size parrots that are going to meet your requirements for being much quieter. And so I think I'll wrap up, but here's a hint. My African gray right here, Venus, we adopted her as an adult and she was already plucked. I will take to my credit that she hasn't increased her plucking. Her feathers on her neck just don't even grow back. She's plucked them so many times and that happens. But like I said, she was already a plucker when we adopted her. But she's doing well, and I'm also very proud to tell you that because of the diet that I give my parrots and the outside time in the sunlight, my African grays have these beautiful, bright, gray, black, and red feathers, and I'm very happy about that. And I believe that that's a part of what's helped them recover and not increase their plucking, so that either they don't pluck anymore or sometimes they let the feathers grow back. It depends on each individual, and it is a very individualistic thing. So again, those are some small guys that you can really look at. If you want a quiet home, please research your birds really carefully, because birds like a sun conure are one of probably the most beautiful parrots you could possibly have. Every time I meet someone who has a sun conure, I go, are they loud? And some people say no, and some people say yes. And it is hit and miss with those parrots. And when it's hit and they're loud, they can really be very problematic, and they end up getting rehomed some. So if you get something like a conure, you have to make sure that you're getting the right species and things like that, so that you don't have a bad experience and your parrot doesn't have a bad experience. But 2 parrotlets, 2 budgies, 2 cockatiels, 2 lovebirds. I'm trying to think if there are any other little guys I can come up with at the top of my list. My Linnies, they make cute little sort of like cooing sounds. They're pretty good too. Those are all going to be parrots that I think are going to add a nice noise level to your home. Like if you don't want just a quiet home with nothing, or if you want a pet and you want a bird and you want a parrot, these are parrots that can learn to talk in their voice without hitting those decibels that are going to drive you crazy. Thank you for joining me in this blissful video. If you do have a parrot that's stressed out, make sure you get Tink's Parrot Relief, which is CBD and hemp oil, available on parrotbliss.com. And then if you have any questions, please be sure to comment below. Don't just subscribe if you want to try to catch tomorrow's video. Make sure that you hit the preferences so that YouTube lets you know when tomorrow's video is published. Generally it is tomorrow. And then I will catch you in the next feathered video.